Welcome Libra to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 30th of October for the Sun or the Ascendant. Your ruling planet is the beautiful Venus, which is a very charming and beguiling influence. It helps you to relate to people very skillfully. But recently Venus has been trapped in a very private and tender part of your situation. Now the 12th house can be wonderful for expanding our spiritual consciousness, and it may have been that you've been very nostalgic about people who are no longer in your life. Then again, perhaps you've been getting at some old photo albums or digital influences and really reminiscing and found it very enriching. But the 12th house can be where we think deeply and we reflect, and it can unfortunately be where other people show that they may not be truly worthy of our affections. So it can be the sector of secret enemies. But also in a relationship context, it can be about where ties come to a natural close. But it also can be where we're still in the relationship, but we're trying to make sense of it, we're trying to work it out. Now this week Venus forges a stunning angle to Uranus, the planet of disruption. It's very quick moving, it's about higher truths, and for you it's in house 8. This is where we want to be really up close, or we want to actually be separating from something that's not given us the level of commitment, devotion or intimacy that we really want. But it's possible that you could find yourself getting really much more up close and personal with someone, but you want to do it in a very quiet or private, even clandestine way. Then again, you could just encounter somebody at work or a social situation and become more conscious that this person is showing you through their body language that they're actually really drawn to you or keep glancing in your direction. They may not verbalize it at this stage because the 12th house is very private, even secretive, and certainly the 8th house can be as well. But that's where Uranus can be such an interesting influence, because it can be provocative. So it can push something into the open, and they're actually engaging with one another in a positive way. It's a lovely trine. So some rather sensual energies could be around you, or it could be that you're yearning for someone to come into your life if you don't have the type of relationship you really want, or there could be a separation that you're going through. Uranus can want us to feel really authentic about situations, and because it can be about the need for space, if it isn't working in a relationship, maybe the combination of these two is encouraging you to try to manage the process as gracefully as possible. Now also Mars and Jupiter met in a provocative opposition last Friday. They're still in touch with one another through to the middle of this week, and that actually could be making you feel, dare I say, a little bit more lusty for things that you're really drawn to. Now this could be some nice clothes, it could be a luxury item, it could be someone who makes your pulse race. But then later in the week Venus goes opposite Neptune. This becomes exact on Friday. This is a very mystical, beautiful energy, but it can be distorting. So for example, you could feel that someone is really of interest, you could develop quite the crush, but actually your psychic antenna could be a little bit off. On the other hand, it could be perfectly aligned, and you could have such a beautiful, even non-verbal connection. Just feel really drawn to someone, maybe even in a spiritual, non-romantic way. Saturn goes direct this week too. Big sigh of relief. If your physical vitality has not felt the greatest since the middle of June, it wouldn't be a surprise. If work has been hard going, if your stamina has been a bit lower, if you've got had some colds, or you've encountered some headaches, or someone's been very critical and biting at work, again, not a surprise. Now Saturn going direct isn't going to be a panacea. It's not going to suddenly become an amazing asset, but Saturn is something we can work with, because that's what Saturn appreciates, So you can work on all the areas that have been exposed over the last few months, but I just feel the general vibe is going to be more constructive and conducive to what you want. Now, there is a quarter moon which occurs as this week draws to a close. It could be a friend in your situation who is a bit disappointing, to be honest. Maybe it's their values that aren't quite chiming with yours. You're very focused on your values at this particular time. Maybe it's going to be the case that you're very generous to someone and they don't quite appreciate how thoughtful that you've been. So you may need to just, rein in any desire to be too impulsive with money and gifting this week because of Mars and Jupiter being opposite, and then that quarter moon in the lovely warm sign of Leo, but someone may not reflect back to you what you reflect out to them. Now, I'd just like to remind you, if you've yet to order your year 2024 forecast transit report, transits is where the planets in the sky interact with your natal positions. That creates an influence that's totally unique for each person. If you'd like to order it, you'll get the rest of this year free, plus 30% off, and get your life roadmap, your character analysis report, which will give you a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your life so far and learn how to work with them more successfully future forwards. Please see the link below for more.